then. This, I guarantee you, is what they feel now. I guarantee you that they are in full accord with this member of the jury who said this.
No way. There were 3 people in the car that Rodney King was driving. All 3 of them were black. 2 of them put their hands up and were handcuffed and booked in a proper procedure, and 1 chose not to be booked. It's as simple as that. Rodney King set the action.
And there you have it. You see what it's all about? You've all been suckered. A Masonic judge, a Freemason, changed the venue to one of the wealthiest counties in the state of California, wherein 2,000 police officers lived and only had a population of less than 2% blacks. That in itself would have almost guaranteed an acquittal. But another Masonic judge, the one who actually tried the case, really did guarantee an acquittal. For the defense's entire case was that the officers acted in accordance with their training. Where have we heard that before? Wasn't the defense of the Nazis who were tried at Nuremberg that they were only following orders, obeying their superiors, carrying out the parameters of their training? This is an absolutely impossible concept for the American people to grasp and to hold on to. And you better understand what it means. We're being prepared for a police state. That's what cops, top cops, grandmother cops, SWAT cops, all the cop shows are all about. The glorification of the cops. What if they trained them to shoot you if you looked at them funny? You see, because the judge instructed the jury that if they found that the officers were acting within the parameters of their training, of their orders, that they could not be found guilty. And therein lies the rub. You see, it was all rigged from the beginning. The judges knew it. Everybody knew it. Did you know that Tom Bradley made a statement that in case the jury came in with a not guilty verdict that he expected rioting, that he was not prepared? Why? You know that Daryl Gates made a statement that he had set aside monies to pay extra police officers and take care of all the extra forces and things that they would need, because if the verdict came in not guilty, they expected rioting. Yet they had no extra forces. They were completely unprepared and nothing was done. Why? Because somebody wanted to scare the living daylights out of the middle class in this country so that they could justify taking away rights from the American people. And I got to tell you something. You all fell for it. All of you. You fell for it hook, line, and sinker, and you're going to suffer because of it. This was no accident. And I've talked to a lot of blacks in those neighborhoods by telephone. Good, honest people who did not participate in those things. But they were witnesses and they watched. And they tell me that some of the fires were started by their people. They saw them do it. But some of the fires were started by people they never saw before and were professionals. They had professional techniques, professional fire bombs. And if you know anything about fires, you know that whole buildings don't go up at once unless somebody knows what they're doing. Somebody was following the looters around, and after they finished looting a building, they would go in and set a fire that would instantly consume the building. Total conflagration. And then they would disappear. People who were not from the neighborhoods. Not from the neighborhoods. Somebody was running through the neighborhoods telling people that the merchandise in the stores were free. Now, that doesn't excuse them running down and taking merchandise out of the stores. It was despicable. The looting was despicable. I abhor it, and all who participated in it should be apprehended, should be tried, should be convicted, and should be thrown in jail. Anyone who hurt another person or destroyed anyone's property should be tried, convicted, and thrown in jail. As far as I'm concerned, anyone who killed another person should be tried, convicted, and I would hope that they would receive a death sentence. But that's not up for me to decide. See, I believe everyone has a right to be angry, and has a right to protest, has a right to demonstrate, has a right to march in this country. But no one has a right to do what these people did. I believe that our police officers serve the public, should be polite, should be professional, and no one, no matter how guilty of any crime, should be subjected to a beating that we saw on that videotape being given to Rodney King. It's not up to the officers to judge punishment or to punish. Their job is to help the public, keep the public and their property safe, identify and apprehend criminals. And their job is to do it within the law and do it humanely. Training does not justify abuse. Hitler trained his SS to murder, cold-blooded murder people. And if their excuse didn't stand up in the Nuremberg trials, why should this excuse stand up with these 4 officers in any trial in this country? Because that is the whole key to the whole not guilty verdict, was the defense's position that they were acting within the parameters of their training and the instructions of the judge to the jury, that if they found that they were acting within the parameters of their training, they could not be found guilty. Which means, if during their training they were taught to rob a bank every 3rd Sunday, and to take that money and buy guns and to go out and kill 2 people every 4th Sunday, then they could not have been found guilty if all of that was taught to them during their training. This type of thinking in this country is insanity and cannot be allowed. And these Freemason, Masonic judges who are part of the secret societies, who have infiltrated our society at all levels and our government at all levels, and whose aim is to destroy the sovereignty of this nation and the sovereignty of all other nations, and bring into being a one-world totalitarian socialist government, must go. These people must be weeded out. They must be prosecuted and dealt with legally within the law, but it must be done. And if you don't think there's a conspiracy, you watch. See, I said that this would happen in New York City. I told those people in New York City that this would happen, and it has. I said in New York City to that audience that when the blacks found out how they were being used and how they were being intentionally addicted to a welfare state to create a dependent class of people, and then the welfare benefits are withdrawn to create a criminal class of people, and then the criminal class of people is addicted to dope narcotics, not only as a feel-good substance and addiction, but as a method to fuel their economy, as a method to put food on the table. You have to understand, folks, that this accomplishes 3 things. Drug addiction, for blacks or for anyone else, is a form of euphemistic slavery. They are no danger to the ruling class, to the elite, or to anyone else. They are, in fact, slaves to their addiction, and they can be controlled